My son, Declan Marsh, arrived at my house the next evening, expecting to collect $200,000. He walked up the front steps with the confidence of a man who believed he still owned every piece of my life. Tess followed a few steps behind him, her hands clasped tightly, her eyes shifting in a way that told me she already sensed something was wrong. The story you are about to hear is a work of fiction created by the Her Chain Channel team, based on real-life situations to convey lessons about family, emotions, and human values. All characters and events are illustrative. When Declan tried the door, it didn't move. He twisted the knob harder, then slammed his palm against it. "Mom," he called out, irritation sharpening his voice. "Open the door! We are here for the transfer." Silence answered him. Tess leaned close to the window and whispered, It's dark inside." She reached for his arm. "Maybe she's resting." "Stop making excuses," he snapped, shoving past her as he used the spare key I had never taken from him. The moment the door opened, his movement slowed. The living room was exactly as I had left it, orderly, familiar, but something essential was missing. Me. "Mom," he called again. Nothing. They moved through the hallway, their footsteps growing louder, faster. Tess's breathing hitched. "Declan, her suitcase is gone." He didn't answer. He was already in the kitchen, staring at the table. It held only one thing, a plain white envelope with my handwriting on the front. He grabbed it, tore it open, and read. His breath caught first. Then came the sound, raw, furious, disbelieving, a sound I had heard from him only once before, the day his father died. Except this time, it was not grief. It was the shock of losing control. Tess's voice trembled. Where did she go?" Declan crushed the note in his fist, unable to speak. And in that moment, the life he thought he could command slipped out of his hands. 24 hours earlier. Why would a 70-year-old woman vanish the day after agreeing to pay her son's debt? Declan showed up without calling. He always did when he wanted something. I had just poured myself tea when the front door opened, and he strode in as if he still lived there. Tess followed close behind him, her shoulders curled inward, her eyes refusing to settle on anything for more than a second. "Mom, sit down," Declan said, already pulling out a chair for himself. He never waited for my answer. He placed a thick folder on the table and pushed it toward me. "We need you to cover Tess's debt. $200,000, Amik. It has to be tomorrow." I blinked, thinking I had heard him wrong. "Declan, 200,000. My voice trembled before I could stop it. He leaned back, crossing his arms. "You have the money. Your house is paid off. You live alone. You do not need it the way we do." Tess flinched at his tone. "Declan, maybe we should explain." He cut her off. "There is nothing to explain. She knows we are in trouble." He looked directly at me then, eyes sharp, expectant. This is what families do. I opened the folder with stiff fingers, pages of overdue notices, threats, and a loan contract stared back at me. My stomach tightened. "Tess, how did this happen?" Tess swallowed hard. "It was an investment that went wrong. I thought I did not realize who we borrowed from." Declan's jaw tightened. "We do not have time for guilt. We need the money." I felt myself shrinking the way I always had with him, bending beneath the weight of his certainty. "Declan, that is almost everything I have, and you do not use it," he said. "Do this for us, for me." His confidence silenced the little voice inside me that tried to protest. My throat burned as I forced out, "I need a day." "You have until tomorrow," he replied, as if granting a favor. When he stood to leave, he kissed my forehead, a gesture empty as a signature on a forged check. Tess lingered behind him for a moment. Her eyes met mine, full of apology and something close to fear. "I am sorry," she whispered. Then she was gone. And as the house quieted again, I noticed something strange. My hands, so unsteady minutes earlier, were no longer shaking. "All right?" I whispered into the empty kitchen. "Tomorrow." After Declan left, the house felt too still, as if even the walls were waiting for me to obey him. I sat at the table with the folder open in front of me, staring at the papers until the numbers blurred. $200,000. He said it so casually, as if I owed him that amount simply for being his mother. I pressed my palms together and tried to breathe. The heaviness in my chest was familiar. I had lived with it for decades. I heard Elias's voice, first calm, firm, slicing through memory. "Do not worry about the bills. Lorena, I will handle it." He handled everything. Every dollar. Every decision. Every permission. When I once questioned a withdrawal he made, he smiled the way Declan does now. "You are too emotional for finances. I know what is best." Back then, I believed him. Back then, survival meant keeping peace. I looked down at the folder again. Declan had learned too well. The first time he asked for money, $5,000 for a short-term contractor lapse, I handed it over without thought. Then it was $10,000, then a loan to cover a supplier mistake. Always an emergency. Always my fault if I hesitated. This demand was not new, it was simply louder. I pushed away from the table and went to the old drawer where I kept important documents. Inside was a stack of papers I had avoided for years. I unfolded one, then another, and froze. My name was signed neatly at the bottom of a bank authorization I had never seen before. Another showed an approval for a line of credit. The signature looked like mine, but too perfect. Too smooth. My throat tightened. Declan had not asked for permission. He had taken it. The panic rose hot and quick. But beneath it, something colder, sharper. I knew this path. I had lived under a man who used my silence as permission. Elias had shaped that silence, and Declan had inherited it. Not this time. I reached for the phone. My hands trembled. Not with fear, but with decision. When the call connected, a familiar voice answered, surprised. "Lorena, after 15 years, Marjorie." I said quietly, "I need help." Marjorie arrived at my house less than an hour after I called her. She did not greet me with sympathy or small talk. She walked in, shut the door behind her, and said, "Show me everything." I spread the folder across the table. Her eyes moved fast, sharp as ever. $200,000 owed to private lenders, she muttered. "And these are not the kind of people who send friendly reminders. Declan knows exactly what he is doing." I swallowed. "He said it was for Tess. That woman looks terrified." Marjorie replied, "Whatever this is, it is bigger than a bad investment." She picked up the bank documents I had found earlier. When she reached the forged signature, she stopped breathing for a moment. "Lorena, this is criminal fraud." She tapped the paper. "If anyone investigates these accounts, they will see your name attached. Declan has been using you as a shield." My stomach clenched. "I did not know." "I know you did not." Her voice softened, but only for a second. "And that is why we have one option: get you out of here." I stared at her. "Out of here if he is desperate enough. He can file for control of your home," she said. "Your name is on part of the deed, but so is his. He can claim you are unstable. He can drag you into a legal battle and freeze your accounts. You need to move before he tries." My pulse quickened. "Leave. Tonight. Tonight," she repeated. "If we wait, you will be trapped." We moved quietly but quickly. We transferred my savings to a new account. We printed fresh statements. We sealed every document in a folder I could carry. Through it all, Marjorie kept talking steady, strategic, unflinching. "You are not running from him," she said as we worked. "You are stepping out of the cage he built, when everything was packed. I booked a one-way ferry ticket to Bainbridge Island. No return, no forwarding address. Before leaving, I wrote a single sentence on a clean sheet of paper and placed it in the center of the kitchen table. The debt is yours, not mine. I choose myself now. I zipped my suitcase, walked to the back door, and opened it to the night air. Then I stepped out, leaving the life he thought he controlled behind me. By the time Declan was standing in my kitchen screaming over the envelope, I was already miles away. Bainbridge Island was still a ferry ride ahead, but the distance between us had begun the moment I closed my back door the night before. Marjorie sat beside me in her car at the terminal, arms crossed, watching the city lights flicker. "He has found your note by now," she said. "He is pacing, shouting, maybe blaming Tess, definitely blaming you." I exhaled slowly. "He never thought I would actually leave. He thought you were still the woman Elias trained you to be," she replied. Silent, soft, obedient. "He is feeling the one thing men like him cannot tolerate: humiliation." My phone buzzed in my coat pocket. Then again, I pulled it out and saw Tess's name first. "Is she safe? Please tell me she is safe." Marjorie leaned closer. "She is not on his side. Whatever story he told you, she is drowning too." Before I could reply, Declan's voicemails began rolling in one after another. His first message sounded calm. The second was sharp. The third dripped with the same anger his father once used like a weapon. By the fifth, he was shouting, calling me irresponsible, selfish, dramatic, a familiar chorus. I did not listen to the rest. I powered the phone off and handed it to Marjorie. "Keep it until tomorrow." She nodded. "You choose what gets in now, not him." When the ferry horn echoed across the water, I picked up my small suitcase and walked toward the ramp. Each step felt unsteady, but not from fear, from something closer to release. As the ferry pulled away, the city grew smaller, its lights thinning against the horizon. I rested my hands on the railing and let the cold air fill my lungs. "I am not his anymore," I whispered. A new weight settled in my chest, not guilt, not grief, something else, something I had not felt in years. The room I rented above the little bakery on Winslow Way was small, slanted-roofed, and nothing like the house I had lived in for 30 years. Yet, when I set my suitcase down, I felt something inside me loosen, as if space had finally opened in my own chest. Mrs. Cafferty, the bakery owner, handed me the key. "It is not fancy," she said, "but it is safe. And it is yours, safe. Yours." Words I had never heard applied to my life. My first morning, I walked to the market with a canvas bag on my arm. Buying groceries felt strange without someone watching over my choices. Even learning online banking, something Declan always insisted he should handle for me, made my hands shake a little. Marjorie coached me over the phone until the new account showed my balance. Secure and untouched. "You did that," she said. "Not him." A few days later, I noticed a small community craft stall near the marina. An older woman sold knitted scarves. Another displayed watercolor postcards. I asked the organizer shyly, "Do you allow embroidered work?" She smiled. "If you make it with your own hands, we welcome it." I set up a tiny table the next weekend, just napkins and small pieces I had stitched during sleepless nights back home. By noon, 3 women had bought items for gifts. One said, "These feel like they were made with care." Care. I had spent my entire life giving it away. I never imagined it could be something people valued. The piece did not last untouched. My email began to fill with Declan's messages, accusations, threats. "Then please, you cannot just disappear. Mom, you owe us a conversation. You are ruining everything." I deleted each one until my hand stopped trembling. Then a short message from Tess appeared. Please be careful. He is unraveling. I stared at the screen, then clicked block. The silence that followed felt like stepping into warm light, steady, protective, entirely mine. For the first time in decades, I let myself breathe without fear. I was restocking my little craft display at the marina when a woman approached me, tall, steady posture, eyes that searched without threatening. She flashed a badge before I could speak. Mrs. Lorena Marsh. My breath caught. Yes, Detective Naomi Bell, Seattle Police Department. I need a word. We sat on a nearby bench. Her voice was calm but carried weight. Your son has been under quiet investigation for several months. When you disappeared, things escalated. My throat tightened. Escalated how? She opened a folder. My name was printed on documents I had never seen: loan applications, withdrawals, authorization forms too neat and smooth to be mine. Declan forged your identity, she said. He accessed credit lines using your information. If these lenders had pursued payment, you would have appeared responsible. My stomach dropped. He used my name, repeatedly. She replied, and the lenders involved are dangerous. Your disappearance may have protected you more than you realized. For a moment, the world dimmed around me. I had left to save my money. I had not realized I was also saving my life. Detective Bell continued. We need an official statement. Your testimony could determine how far these charges go. Before I could answer, my phone vibrated. Tess's name appeared. I stepped aside and answered quietly. Her voice shook. Lorena, are you safe? Yes, I said. Where are you? At my sister's. I took the kids. I had to. She inhaled sharply. Declan is not well. He is angry all the time. He keeps talking about the $200,000, but, Lorena, it was never just that. My grip tightened around the phone. What do you mean there is more debt? She whispered. Much more. And the men he owes, they are looking for him. I think they might come after anyone connected to him. Behind me, Detective Bell watched my reaction with quiet understanding. Tess, I said softly, thank you for telling me. Please be careful, she begged. He is falling apart. I ended the call slowly, my pulse heavy but clear. Detective Bell stepped closer. We will increase surveillance around your building. You are not alone in this. For the first time, I believed her. My leaving had not broken my family. It had revealed what was already broken. And now the truth was no longer hidden. Detective Bell met me outside the courthouse. He asked to see you, she said gently. Before the hearing, I felt something tighten inside me, not fear, not anymore. Something like finality. Declan sat in a holding room, wrists cuffed, eyes hollow but burning. When I stepped in, he straightened as if he still believed he could command the space. Mom, he said sharply, you ruined everything. I stayed standing. I protected myself. His face twisted. From me, I am your son. You forged my name. I replied. You lied to me. You tried to use my home and my savings to save yourself. You do not understand what kind of people I was dealing with, he snapped. I had no choice. You had choices, I said. You just never wanted consequences. His voice cracked, the anger slipping into something desperate. Just tell them it was a misunderstanding. Tell them I had permission. Tell them no. The word hung between us, heavier than anything I had ever spoken. Declan's jaw clenched. If you testify, I lose everything. I stepped closer. Steady. You already lost the right to own me. The guard signaled the end of the visit. As I walked out, I heard Declan's voice break into a threat raw and familiar, but it no longer hooked into me the way it once had. It slid off like rain on stone. Inside the courtroom, Judge Henry Potts presided, a stern man with a tired gaze. When my name was called, I took the stand. I spoke plainly about the forged signatures, about the years of financial demands, about the $200,000 he tried to force from me. My voice did not shake. Then Tess took her place. She held her hands together tightly, but her voice rang clear as she described the hidden debts, the lies, the violent spirals. She did not look at Declan once. By the time the judge delivered his ruling, the room had gone silent. Declan would lose his company. He would lose access to all business accounts. For several years, he would face strict limitations on any financial activity, and additional charges were pending. He stood there, stunned. I walked past him without pausing. Outside, the air felt different, lighter, cleaner. I had not defeated him. I had simply stepped out of his shadow, and for the first time, the path ahead belonged entirely to me. Life on Bainbridge grew slowly, like stitching a new pattern one quiet thread at a time. My embroidered napkins began selling steadily, and soon the community center invited me to teach basic budgeting to older women who, like me, had lived too long under someone else's control. During one class, a woman named Elise whispered, "I never thought I could manage my own money." I smiled. Neither did I, until I had to. Helping them filled something in me I did not know was empty. Tess called often from her sister's home, her voice steadier each time. "The kids are sleeping better. I am working again," she said one evening. I did not realize how much I depended on Declan's moods just to breathe. "I know that feeling." I replied, "You are allowed to live without fear." Then came the notice Declan's construction company, what remained of it, was being liquidated. Years of hidden debt had collapsed it from the inside. Marjorie called immediately, "Lorena, this is an opportunity." I knew what she meant before she said it. The business that Declan had valued more than family, more than honesty, more than me, it was on the auction list, and the price had dropped to almost nothing. The courtroom where the liquidation was held felt colder than the one where Declan faced charges. When the auctioneer announced the company's assets, I raised my hand. No one challenged my bid. The gavel came down with a sharp crack. Marjorie leaned toward me. "It is yours." Later, in county custody, Declan requested another brief visit. The guard led me into the same stark room as before. He looked smaller now, worn down. "You bought it," he said quietly. "My company." I met his eyes. "The company you abandoned for shortcuts and lies." "Yes, I bought it, and I am going to rebuild it the right way." "Why?" he whispered. "Because power belongs to those who build." I said, "Not those who take." He lowered his gaze, the truth settling over him heavier than chains. I stood, thanked the guard, and walked out. His silence followed me into the hallway, not pleading, not threatening, just acceptance. And ahead of me, a future waited that had nothing to do with him. Running the company Declan once worshipped became nothing like I imagined. I renamed it Harbor Hands and turned it into a nonprofit workforce program for single mothers and older women who needed financial independence. The first morning we reopened, a woman named Clarissa shook my hand and said, "Thank you for giving us a place to start again." Her gratitude warmed something old and bruised inside me. "We begin together." I told her, "No one gets left behind here." Each week, more women walked through our doors trembling, uncertain, hopeful. I taught budgeting classes in the old conference room, the same place Declan once bragged about deals he never intended to honor. Now those walls held laughter, questions, and the quiet strength of people rebuilding their lives from the inside out. At the community celebration for Harbor Hands opening, Marjorie raised a glass. "To Lorena Marsh," she said, "a woman who finally learned the power she carried all along." I felt my throat tighten, not from sadness this time, from pride. Later that night, back on Bainbridge Island, I sat at my small desk above the bakery, and wrote one last reflection. Choosing myself was never revenge. It was rebirth. Every step away from fear brought me closer to a life I once believed I did not deserve. I reached into my drawer, pulled out the tiny USB drive holding Declan's last message, the one filled with threats, accusations, and the familiar sting of ownership. I walked down to the shoreline. The sky washed in violet and gray and lit a small metal bowl. The plastic melted slowly, curling into blackened fragments. When the last ember glowed faintly, I tipped the ashes into Puget Sound. The water swallowed them without hesitation. A clean silence settled around me. I turned toward the path home and whispered the truth I had earned when I vanished without a word. I did not disappear. I simply stepped into the life I should have lived all along. If this story moved you, like it, leave a comment, or subscribe so we can walk through the next journey together.